So today I felt called to share my altar with you. And this altar was set up for the new moon in Cancer. So that night I sat at the table and configured what felt most right and true to orient to intend what was to come by deeply listening and naming what I felt would be necessary in order to accomplish that. And a lot of this is about listening in different ways. Sitting in stillness and resting in my heart and listening. Using these cards and the configuration that comes from the altar as a way to listen and see what is here. So for today, I thought I would read the altar and read the cards that came up instead of drawing new ones. So this will be a mix of stories and affirmations and oracles and sense-making of the characters or archetypes or avatars that are present here. Some things about the altar that I think are worth noting, that they're not always perfectly straight. I'm still working on that. But I have a patron saint present. Some handcrafted items. And what I noticed is that I use this Wild Unknown journal as a book to sketch and write and draw what inspires, but also as a base of creativity, like a solid, inspired foundation. And it's almost always my base in almost all my ceremonies, especially ones for creativity or creation. And the stones and pieces kind of orient themselves differently depending on what is alive. If I was to say what this altar looks at, like in an elemental way, it is an equilibrium of polar forces. So creativity can be deeply fire, but a lot of these stones are about emotional well-being or help the solar plexus, or you actually have water on the altar. And so this is a balancing out of the watery and fiery aspects, kind of like the Temperance card in the tarot. And I would even say a balancing out as in a right mixture for the creative process, an alchemical process. And maybe I'll share more as things come up, but this feels kind of complete there. So I think I'll start with this Wisdom Oracle. And on the top we have non-attachment, the 42nd Gene Key. There's a slight glare going on, but again, I love these cards and how complex they are, and yet they look so simple. You can kind of see there's a meditating kind of Buddhist state and some chakras going up almost from the third eye, the crown, with the fire in the chin or the throat. We have some yin yangs in the ears, so some balance or harmony and holding of polarities and listening. I can tell my voice is kind of passive this morning, and I imagine I'll get ramped up as the energy starts flowing. I always dedicate, and I think I want to dedicate this to this channel, to this work as the startup shaman. it's for me, this is like my life's work and my life's purpose. And the process or relationship to coming into a right relationship with this work has been a long road, and it's still going on. It's an everyday experience. And there's nothing that I'd rather be doing. And I think that is what makes it so intimidating sometimes. But in this Leo season, and with this new moon in Cancer, this is dedicated to the startup shaman, and it's as a vessel for this being in this body to explore and live in purpose in this world. So the 42nd gene key, it moves from the shadow of expectation to the Siddhi of Celebration, through the pathway or gift of detachment. Detachment represents the process of letting go of control over your life, physically, mentally, and emotionally. My wisdom story. Known as the eternal optimist, I was always on my way towards something. The fulfilling relationship, the exciting job, the radiant health. I knew once I achieved that perfect life, I'd be able to rest and be happy. So I rushed past every milestone, always grasping and expecting, always willing to put off my enjoyment in the now for a better future moment. As I got older, I began to obsess about time. There was so much to do, and it felt like time was running out, until it did. During a basic medical checkup, something unexpected was found. I was diagnosed with a deadly illness. Suddenly, my life was spinning out of control. I was terrified, enraged. I have no time for this, I screamed inside, secretly feeling I'd failed at life. My optimism vanished, along with my faith in myself and others. For the next few years, I exhausted all of my savings, as well as my loved ones, as I leapt from doctor to doctor, from conventional to alternative treatments. Terrified nothing would work. I abandoned each treatment before it had a chance to succeed. My practitioners saw me as flaky, but all I saw was disappointment and the slow death of my dreams. Finally, I became so ill that I was hospitalized. There was no spark left in me, until I met my roommate, a child who was dying, too. Her spirit was so full of joy and wisdom that my heart melted. She called me her buddy, and shared about her own impending death with an acceptance and peace that put me to shame. The day she died, my heart literally stopped beating. The doctors tried to revive me while I floated up and out of my body and was drawn into a tunnel of indescribable light, color, and music. I felt a love beyond anything I'd ever known. Then I saw her, my friend from the hospital, skipping through a field of flowers and into my arms. Elated, I scooped her up as she whispered, "It's time to go back, buddy. There's still so much to celebrate." The next thing I knew, I was back in my body, feeling calm and full of gratitude, despite the pain. That was many years ago, when I first became known as the medical miracle. Now, when people look into my eyes, they feel my trust in life. I am not afraid for myself or for them. I've made peace with death now. Now I am free to live, love, and appreciate each moment for the precious gift it is. My gift to you. I bring to you the gift of non-attachment. I'm here to remind you that everything in life must come to an end so that something new can be born. It is time to surrender to your life and accept your death. This does not mean you stop desiring, caring, or feeling. In fact, I want you to feel and breathe even more intensely than you ever have. Nor does this mean you can't hold expectations. Just hold them lightly, without attachment. Trust the intelligence of your life with its ebbs and flows, joys and pains. Even the most sorrowful states can be enjoyed if you let your attachments fall away. Remember, you are an unfolding tale, its author and reader all at once. Never miss an opportunity to celebrate your magnificent self and life. Questions for contemplation. Where are you resisting change? Examples could be the aging of your body, the individuation of your children, an old way of thinking or being. What is coming to an end or needing to die in your life? What or who do you need to let go of? Have you prematurely abandoned a project, relationship, or experience? What would it take for you to have true closure? Embrace a change in your life. Find a concrete and empowering way to celebrate it. This time in my life has been it's been quite challenging to come into relationship with love. Self-love, love of the other, love of all, and then that love that is like the love of God or the divine, that love that is unconditional and ever permeating and completely encompassing. And I feel that I really feel that the pain of living sometimes it's not easy being alive. It's not easy getting old. It's not easy being born. I don't think very much in this life is actually that easy. And then the times that are, and then there are times that are. And I've been really coming into relationship with the I don't know-ness that maybe sometimes can look like non-attachment. I don't know love, and I want to. So I ask myself, what is it? I don't know why I hurt, but I want to accept it and embrace it. And so I ask, why is it there? What is it here to teach me? What can I do to be with it in a way that is love? And there's a real imperfection to my practice. And I'm practicing being okay with that too. Celebrating the imperfections. Celebrating the pain of the lessons learned in order to give myself the space to be with life as it is, and recognizing that maybe even this process is a mirror of the way that life works, simply because I'm living it, simply because I am an expression and a piece of the whole of life itself. Right now I'm trying to let go of the ways that I escape the pain of living. And it's not even about just escaping. It's the ways that I process the pain of living that actually create more pain. Because of the way I'm relating to it. And this is kind of the inquiry of my time, of this time in my life. And this is kind of dedicated to the startup shaman. So I think if I was to look there, it's like I noticed that in the creative process with founders or entrepreneurs or any type of conscious creative or creatives in general, what may feel like a block of knowledge sometimes is a block of the heart, or a state of confusion instead of imagination. And these blocks or confusion points or directionlessness or purposelessness in work and in creation that sometimes lead to stagnation are less about how to ask someone else what needs to happen, and more about coming into right relationship with something that's going on within us, that can be worked with in a way that then becomes expressed or made manifest in our external world through our work and our projects and our tasks and our objectives, and our companies. So in this work that I'm doing right now of expression as the startup shaman, this non-attachment, this relationship to pain and love and this expression in the world, is actually the work that is bringing me closer to being able to show up on this channel for those that I work with as clients or partners or whatever comes about in this creative process. All in the ebb and flow of life. So, on the top of the deck, we have the tiger, and you can see I actually have, this is the tiger on my altar as well. The white Siberian tiger has been my companion for a very, very long time, and I'm not sure why I fell in love with it, but there is just something about the way that it walks and it moves and it looks that always just extraordinary to me. And in this Wild Unknown deck, the tiger represents this lunar feminine energy. It talks about, the tiger. It rules. It is the evolutionary peak, the apex of its ecosystem. And so it has a responsibility in its life to maintain order by navigating the chaos of life confidently. And because it has this feminine quality to it, it doesn't manage or direct the chaos into order. It is one with the chaos, one with the darkness, one with the unknown, and it nurtures itself, and it receives all that is for it in its ecosystem. It knows it would never go hungry. It knows that it will find the right prey at the right time in the right way, because that is what needs to happen to remain in equilibrium or harmony in this ecosystem. It doesn't worry about competition or proving itself or anything like that. It is just what it is. And if something steps into its territory, there's a knowingness of exactly what to do. I really feel the power of this and this kind of creative action, because there's a beauty to having a roadmap and a vision of the work ahead, to know in a way what the nature of your being or body of work is, and yet to walk confidently through the darkness of the unknown, and to do it in a way that has an embodied strength or knowingness of the capability or capacity to navigate whatever may come, is a really important quality, and I think a deeply feminine expression of what it means to be creative. To allow yourself to receive all that's for you, even in the times where things may seem like they will not come. On the bottom of the deck, we have the unicorn. So we have two very mysterious creatures. And for me, the unicorn it talks about the third eye. In some ways, it's like an expression of imagination. To look out through our third eye, or look out into the realm of possibility or imagination, and to allow that to be a really important expression or version of reality for us. Like the unicorn is a mystical creature, so we don't know if it exists or it doesn't exist, and it kind of has that quality where just by it being this card or just by it existing in our minds, it does exist. It is a real creature. And that's kind of how the imagination is. It's a very real realm, and it's a very real way of learning and knowing and coming into relationship with a reality, and then bringing it into something like a tarot card or a figurine or an entire narrative or storyline or a culture. Unicorns have followerships, and this all comes from this mystical realm of imagination, and made into a tangible reality. And in the creative process, walking in that unknown and walking in that darkness while looking out into our imagination and wondering what is possible and what do we see there, and then at the right times in the right ways, acting, building, crafting, telling. There's this creative confidence that comes from that relationship of comfort in the unknown and ability to see beyond what is right in front of us, to look into our imagination, and then to bring those things into form. And doing it all in this way that is not unattached. Doing it all as a expression, an act of love and life. And allowing all the experiences that come in the chaos and that come in the unknown to be to feed our creative process, to inspire and move us, to teach us and show us, and to respond confidently. So this is the top tarot, and we have the Queen of Wands energy here, which I love, and another big cat here. And for me, the Queen of Wands is like, she's like the tiger. She's this force of fire and creativity that is deeply feminine and deeply empowered. You can look at this card and just tell, like, there's no question in who she is or what she's here to do, and she is just a force in her environment and in her world. And yet she is not moving, but her being and her essence is fiery and flowy and explosive. And it's like how the tiger moves through the jungle. It just walks at a steady, slow, confident pace, and yet it emanates strength and power and possibility. And so in this time of creation, I think I'm coming into right relationship with my own divine feminine, and my divine feminine as a fiery creative force in this world that attracts and names and crafts all that is for it in response and in flow with life itself. On the bottom of the deck we have abundance, the Three of Cups. And so you have again this, like I mentioned, the altar is kind of this balance between the fieriness of creativity, but also the wateriness, the flow of the creative process as well, and this temperance or this harmonious relationship with the two. And so we have this, the water here as well, the fire. The wands is the suit of fire, and the water. And the Three of Cups in this deck is called abundance, but you can kind of tell in the picture. I mean, the cups are there's just an overflowing of water and lightness and balanceness in this picture. And the Three of Cups is like this. It's such a good, like the Trinity is talked about as like this kind of perfect symbology or balancingness of essences. And the Three of Cups is that. It's like this emotional flowing balance that it's there's no lacking, there's no wanting, there's no needing, there's a perfection in the three. And it's not about having all the things. It's about having the right things in the right way, in the right time, in the right relationship, and realizing how much is here. And it's not so much either a mental understanding as much as it is on the emotional realm. It's like to feel what it's like to have everything that you need, and in a sense more than you can even understand. To be in relationship with the way that life is flowing in and through and around you to support you in this creative process and in this creative time. Not only do you have emotional contentment and fulfillment, not only is there a sense of everything that you could possibly need being present, but you also have the power and the authority and the sense of self and the fire to be able to go out and make it happen from a place of receptiveness, of surrender and trust and attraction. So just do this like emotional, fulfilled, flowing possibility. We can sit back confidently and call in what is here for us and receive it and be able to turn it into what life is asking for us to bring forth. I think about abundance, and it's so often thought about in a really material way. The things that I have or the things that I don't have, and that's real. But the pinnacles are really about this kind of earthly, material realm, and I just think it's interesting that it's the cups, because I think you can feel abundant and in so many different situations or scenarios, and it's kind of like a state of being. Can I feel abundance or prosperity in any situation, in any moment, knowing that it's actually an emotional relationship to life and to the world around me? Can I track the negative thoughts or the thoughts of lack or not having enough, or looking for fulfillment in ways that aren't actually going to fulfill me, and be more than content with what is here? And to actually use what is here in a meaningful way to create what it is that I'm called to build, or to bring forth, or to bring into form. And do it in a way that, again, respects the chaos and uses the imagination and isn't attached so much to the outcome, but finds fulfillment as well in the creative process itself and all that comes with that. The light and the dark, the hard and the soft, the good and the bad, the ups and the downs. Celebrating each moment as an act of as a creative act. So on the top of the oracle here, this is the Sacred Rebel Oracle. And it says, the word wants to be written. I love the butterflies and the third eye again. So it's kind of that imaginal space. You talk about butterflies being having imaginal cells. And imaginal cells are what allow the caterpillar to completely dissolve and to transform into the butterfly. So there's this message of transformation and imagination that is here and present. It's not about like being the caterpillar or being in the chrysalis. This is like full-fledged butterfly happening here. And it's radiating from the inside out. It's radiating from this place of sight and going out into the world. But she's not even worrying about the world right now. Her eyes are closed and she's in this deep place of contemplative contentment. And yet there's still this motion and this movement and this creativity that's happening from that place. So it's kind of like the Queen of Wands, except for maybe a little bit less fire, a little bit more light. The word that wants to be written. You might have been taught that creativity is something you have to work hard to access, or that finding your life purpose is so difficult that you must search high and low for it. Yet what you are is within you, and what wants to come out at every available opportunity. You don't have to struggle so much. It is more about allowing space for it to manifest and let the energy flow. The real struggle is not in finding something. It is more about letting go of the idea that you need to search for your path in the first place. You see, the process of activating your life path is a natural one. The effort is in getting out of the way, not in making something happen. As for being yourself, that is the foundation from which your true life path will reveal itself. Being yourself becomes easier when you give yourself permission to love, honor, and accept yourself in all circumstances, especially the ones where you might be more tempted to reject or judge. Give the sacred rebel within the opportunity to decide your values, irrespective of whether they meet with general social acceptance. This oracle brings you the message that what you are dreaming of or seeking to do, create, live, or manifest is actually very natural for you. That is why you want to do it. If you experienced controlling and manipulative forces as you were growing up, you would have found it hard to access your natural state at the time. You would have been too busy trying to adapt and get through the trials of childhood. When you finished navigating childhood and started to let go of who you were taught to be in order to become who you really are, you may have found your life path was not easily accessible. That is simply because your true and natural self was covered by layers of shame from the early conditioning that you had to be other than you are in order to win love or be acceptable. That is simply because your true nature, your true and natural self was covered by layers of shame from the early conditioning that you had to be other than you are in order to win love or be acceptable. However, that natural self hasn't gone anywhere. It is still there within you. Now it is just about chipping away at the walls of shame, perhaps with the defiant, "Who the hell cares? I am here and I'm going to love myself anyway." This allows you to risk bearing the feelings of any shame that arises as you release old emotional wounds and break away from any restraints to unconditional self-love. The sacred rebel within can empower you to love yourself no matter what, simply because you want to. You might decide to declare, "I am still lovable, so put that in your pipe and smoke it." This will send an energetic message to whomever shamed you in the first place, whether they meant to or not. Your message could be going to a parent, schoolteacher, sibling, friend, lover, or anyone else that was struggling enough with their own shame wound that they couldn't help but dump it on you. You can be free to realize that the shame is just an emotion, not a truth, and you can defy any hold it ever had on you and your ability to love yourself. This oracle brings you the guidance that you are now powerful enough to break the cycle. It is time to stop the shame and claim yourself in love instead. What you want to write, sing, dance, or become is you. It is natural. Drop your defenses, get into the grit, and confront the power that any old shaming has had over you. It's finished now. It is time for you to be naked with yourself, acknowledge how gorgeous you are, and get on with your work. Life is urging you to do so because the work wants to happen. What you want to create wants to be created. The word wants to be written. You just need to let go of any remnants of the past that have been in your way. Step firmly over them and onto your path. Healing process. Say aloud. I now choose to forgive and release any person, situation, or circumstance that has ever been a source of shame or shaming for me, whether conscious or unconscious. I now release this from my body, mind, and heart through unconditional love. I choose to claim myself instead. I love, accept, and claim all of me under the loving protection and wisdom of life. I choose to live as myself, now. I call on the unconditionally loving assistance that life wishes to send me for this journey now. I honor my creative power and my innate worth. So be it. Be kind to yourself. Say this every day for the next few days, or however long it takes for you to believe it. You are worth the effort. Oh, my head is so tingly. I didn't know if I was going to get on camera or not, but I will for this moment. Yeah. It's like, in this moment, I'm just feeling the embracing of all the ways that I have held on to a story that I can't, that I'm wrong. It's not like a right or wrongness, it's like an inherent sense of wrongness. And the ways that has created such a timidness and an insecurity and creativity and creation. Such a sense of lack of worth. That has caused me to hide away in so many ways. And I work hard to show up and to be myself and all these different aspects, there's like a dedication to that. And so there's not like a groundbreakingness, but there is a newness to the realization that I'm doing it. This work, this moment, this expression of this life and of creativity is the most authentic thing that I could possibly be doing right now. Altars and tarot and ritual and shamanship and divination and speaking about divinity and purpose and the creative process. This is just like it's the truest expression. And so often I feel like it's not enough, and that I'm not enough, and that I'm not doing enough, I'm not doing it well, and it's wrong. It's just such this narrative to it. And this is like the inner chaos of the creative process as I come into right relationship with where I'm at in the natural order and a more whole relationship to the experiences that I feel inside of myself and the way that those things are expressed in the world around me and reflected and mirrored and attract the world around me. So I think In this moment, I really want to claim the archetypal nature of the tiger and this life and this being as an expression and a relationship to that. A divine feminine that navigates the unknown with confidence and trust. And the unicorn, the capacity to not need to be real, and yet to be completely real in the imaginal world, to be able to walk through and with the imaginal world in a way that brings it into a material reality. To be mystical, to be magical, and to be unknown, and to have that be a byproduct of my expression, but also a true expression of this divine being. This is me writing, and this is me speaking what wants to be spoken, what wants to be written. And for this moment, I honor that. You're doing great.